Hello and welcome to ZSR2. We have a Link to the Past Randomizer Crosskeys tournament match here between ZelgaDissan and Solietu. This should be a good one. We've got Excalibur and Clear Mouse on commentary. How are you two doing?
Nice to see the Crosskeys tournament back. Best tournament all year.
That's right, yeah. Doing great.
And we have 85 matches a week to choose from, so hopefully we've picked a good one for you tonight.
Oh yeah, you might have heard of at least one of these runners. This should be a really excellent match to watch.
Yeah,
and of course the music is like banging, so yeah, this is gonna be good.
I don't know anything about Solietu, never seen him before, so we'll see how he does, but ZelgaDissan's an old, at least Clear Mouse favorite, if not a fan favorite.
I believe Zelda is very well known in the randomizing community. In fact, he actually just came out with a third place finish just off the main tournament that wrapped up. Actually, was it earlier this week? Maybe it was last week. Very, very recent. So obviously, very, very strong runner. Participated, got quite far last year in Crosskeys tournament as well. I'm sure he's looking to definitely make a splash this year again.
Yeah, I don't doubt his fan favoriteness. I just needed to, poke gentle amounts of fun. So we'll see how the champ does against the unknown challenger here.
Yeah, so yeah, we've got looks like Solietu. He looks like he's gonna go by solo, and hopefully they're gonna be kicked off momentarily. It seems like.
So, because my stream's currently dead, so.
It is synchronizing. We will get our runners up and running very shortly.
And both doing a link to start.
Look at that sync. I mean, that synchronization was totally worth it in this case. Oh, it looks like we actually might have a very similar start. I think the going to the Witch's Hut is pretty common for Zelda. Looks like it's going to be very similar here. The exact same for Solietu. So who is going to be able to get this fake flipper first? That's going to be the main question.
They both did do a spectacular job.
Dude, the sync is actually, I mean, and the fact that they're actually, got it relatively quickly, and the fact that they can both swim, okay, like, I expected no less from Psyduck. Zelda, though, with Phoenix Stride, I'm not actually sure how well he deals with water.
It's all right. He's only pretending to know how to swim, so it's.
That's right. We're fake flippering. We don't have real flippers. Although we have a little bit of divergence, though. Oh, okay. So we found Thieves Hideout drop down. So free heart container looks like not going to immediately pick it up. Chances are we're going to just risk our 3 hearts worth of health in Crosskeys. Zelda, though, finding one of the entrances to Turtle Rock already.
Yeah, the Turtle Rock big chest entrance will be nice eventually, but it's not immediately going to pay off. And it's not even in a very good spot unless the flute turns up.
Yeah, and of course, it's seeing Turtle Rock, I think, is probably more frequent than not in Crosskeys. It seems to be a very favored connector of seeds. So certainly would not be surprised if we visit that place multiple times.
Yeah, not the best way in, but it'll do.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't get a choice, right? The best sometimes is your only option.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but looks like though both runners are wanting some cash initially to start out with. Whoa! Did you just see what was on Floating Island? We want some fancy footwear. We would like that soon. Although it does look like it is flippers locked. So we might need a couple more things before we can get our hands or feet on those boots.
So at the very least, never mind the logic. At the very least, we need to be able to get into the Dark World and set up fake flipper. And have a mirror. But I would expect as soon as those things exist, even rather convoluted fake flippers might get set up to go get some boots.
Yeah, and yeah, at least some knowledge is, of course, power. At least half the battle. It looks like at least Solietu and Zelda both got their eyes on the prize. So certainly would not be surprised if they eventually find out what exactly they need for, and then just beeline it for those footwear.
Interestingly, Zelda went to the right from Link's house to check those 2 entrances, and then dove back over to get to the castle, which is, I think, a slightly unusual move. Fairy tree pull there, which might come in handy at some point, but would be surprising. This is one of the reasons that walking up to the castle is a little bit miserable, is that sometimes you find the sanctuary. You're like, dang it.
Yeah, well, at least we can get to the back, though, without really any real consequence, where we don't need a glove to get back there. You know, it's not behind, you know, like Agatu or anything like that. Looks like though Zelda is going to try and kill some enemies, guards, with a couple of gifted bombs from. Unfortunately, only just a couple of green rupees though for a tier 2. So unfortunately, the tree rituals aren't going to be super useful this time.
Yeah, and Zelda, of course, is now extra interested in bombs, given that he knows where the back of escape is.
Yeah, meanwhile, though, on Solietu's side, we're going to explore Eastern Palace for a bit. We did find Sick Kid, I think, as the hospital. No bottle, of course, early on, but I think that was probably the only real thing, or real entrance of value.
Certainly write that down, come back later.
Yeah.
Solietu gets to get his Turok Small without having to walk all the way over here. This is, frankly, the worst possible place for Sank. In terms of its usefulness as a save and quit spot. But at least while you're here, check the castle.
Yeah, and it actually does look like, you know, maybe, you know, we can probably get to the back of the sanctuary, you know, in multiple ways, right? If we somehow make it over there in the Dark World through a connector, we have the mirror, we can mirror back over there. We have the boots that we did see on Floating Island. We can always run over here, but otherwise this place is not going to be, you know, very active for our runners.
I mean, starting at the castle is almost always just worse than starting at Link's house, unless you're going to some very specific places. Solietu is now walking through the screen that you never walked through. It's the second time that's happened today, so maybe I need a new name for it. But
you know, it's you see so many more screens and actions in Crosskeys that you don't usually get to see in otherwise a non-entrance scene. So.
Guess that's a way to get up here.
Yeah. Okay, alright, so another drop down, 300 rupees. Certainly not necessarily a bad price. Probably not going to be worth it though, like given where that drop down is.
Yeah, you're not coming back there for $300 unless you're desperate for money for some reason. But they've both done hula hands, so I don't expect that to happen.
Yeah. Although speaking of desperation, Zelda here on Laser Bridge, 3 hearts, no boots, no invisibility item. At
one
least
chest.
that's the first one. Yeah.
Died going the correct direction. Hearts on the crab. Certainly, all of our sort of random item drops less exciting and hopeful than usual. And finding the chicken hut is kind of miserable given the.
Given that we have also, no bombs, and it's kind of like a pretty out-of-the-way location, right? I mean, anytime when you have to kind of go visit the lumberjack area is really not going to be super convenient, either if you have, like, boots or not, right? You know, it's not, unless this is Crosskeys, you're going to find a connector, but it certainly doesn't really look like it so far. Zelda, though, doing a very excellent job of those laser skips without really anything to his name, and it's certainly not an easy task.
On the other hand,
what do we even get? Small key to GT? Is that it?
A great spot for the old man cave, given the terrible 7-foot spot for the sanctuary. Having the old man just hanging out in Kakariko is going to be convenient later on. Solietu making his way back over to Chicken House now that he found the restock room.
Oh, hey, we found our first dungeon, looks like. Chicken Hut just having a small shield, and probably not what Solietu is really interested in, but he's got his peace of mind to cross off another out-of-the-way location that he never has to come back to. Second dungeon. Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you. I apparently forgot about Turtle Rock after we've just seen, like, multiple entrances at that point.
That wasn't really an entrance yet, right? Like, couldn't yet accomplish anything. Solietu, while he's going to walk past this restock house, might as well stop in for another 4 bombs.
Okay, so Zelda picked up, what did he pick up? Some useless compass or something like that? He is going down to the Bolak side of Pod without anything really to his name. Not even a small pod key, no bottle, no bow. I believe we are going to be able to see some mimics move off the screen.
This is a feels like needlessly bold move from Zelda, but
he seems pretty confident though in his mimic clips.
I mean, it's certainly gonna get through this and look stylish doing it. But I guess while you're here, it's just a calculator. Like, come back. Not that hard.
All right. So meanwhile, though, looks like we actually found another one of our drop downs. Solietu is visiting Uncle Spot. Got some more money too. So I think it was 300 5 rupees at Uncle and 300 in the chest. So I think we're set for money.
Saga has given up on unbuffered mimic clips and is going to the select buffered ones, which gets you 1 frame advance per iteration, and makes the frame perfect inputs much easier, albeit slower. And this is why, like, a little bit dubious.
Okay, Ice Palace and Skull Woods. Already early bomb shop that we find in the light world. TBD whether or not we're going to be able to potentially get into early Pyramid Fairy. Zelda, though, good to see those mimics go off the screen.
Or
so we're
off the screen enough.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so, but this is going to be 2 relatively free chests. Free because he's already paid the time and effort in order to get all the way over here.
And setting up Death Warp there.
Hey, that bottle might have been pretty useful before we kind of came over here.
Well, it's going to be handy for Zelgadissan has not yet made the Eastern Palace swing, and so we'll get to turn in his bottle on the first trip.
Yeah, that's right. That is our first bottle. So we are going. So once he goes over to the Eastern Palace area, I think he'll just basically cross that entire section off of his map or tracker because
and never go back.
We probably need to go over there anymore. So we're getting at least this is our second GT swell key. Seemingly suspicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, although it looks like we are already, we've got some dyed fur, I guess, on Psyduck's side, already having blue mail pretty early. Of course, this is going to be pretty nice, let's say when he goes over the laser, he's got a little bit of safety, but we would really like to see that mirror sooner rather than later, given that we just got an armor upgrade we cannot refund. Death warping is very common, especially early on in Crosskeys, and you want to be able to do that without having to take a ton of damage and taking it forever.
At least he only has 3 hearts so far. But.
Yeah, so far. Although, coming into Eastern Palace, a bit controversial, potentially move for some runners. The people are very, opinionated, specifically about Eastern Palace, whether or not they want to come in, whether or not they, have boots, big key, lamp, bow. Some people just avoid it completely altogether, unless they have 3 out of the 4 items or something like that. But Solietu is going to come in and give us a sneak peek. I would certainly not be surprised, by the way, if Zelda just, sees that it's Eastern and then just nopes right out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah,
there we go.
That's convenient.
First item, and it's a lamp, which admittedly brings things in logic and so on, but not the most exciting toy to get Christmas time.
Dark rooms, though, are certainly not going to be an issue. So oftentimes, we say that in dark rooms, the lamp logic is really just optional, is more suggestion otherwise, because all of these, runners are very confident in their dark room skills, but we don't have to worry about that today.
Chad is pointing out that Zelgadissan has seen a bow. I missed where that was.
It's really Inspectable Rock. I forgot which entrance, though, it was. Maybe somewhere in Kakariko? Although, what we just saw Zelda pick up, though, from the bottle vendor with some of his hard-earned Houlihan money was the hook shots. Especially without boots, early on, hook shots would be a really, really nice movement item. Not to mention, it is a semi-weapon that you can at least use to kill some enemies and stun others.
Yeah, I mean, it's the boomerang, except also a great movement item, and also actually just kills stuff. Hookshot's great, especially given the utter lack of other stuff they have in here.
Yeah, and we're not going to have to, think about whether or not we want to dive Swamp Palace with or without the hookshot. We have it very early on. It's going to be super nice.
Zelgadissan also picks up the Cane of Burna, which also is kind of like an item.
Yeah, that does put Laser Bridge that he did, without an invisibility item in logic now.
Was there anything exciting there?
I think there was a small key to GT or something, but no.
Yeah,
no, he found like a couple more dungeon items after that.
Alright, again.
Speaking of, we're gonna probably... Alright, so Solietu gave us a much better peek at what was on the other side of Spectacle Rock. Unlike Zelda, I think Zelda's eyes are pretty fast. I'm not even sure how many pixels we got out of that bow on his side. And yes, for confirmation, there is no way you can bomb jump from the south to the north. You can only bomb jump the other way around, from north to south.
And the reason for that is silly wall interactions and this game being coded in a bizarre way.
Yeah, another great reason to have some boots.
On the other hand, knowing what's upstairs, and I mean, just knowing where that item is in general is useful. If at some point you're looking for a bow, diving random entrances might come in. But also, it just saves a walk when you find the front door of the Spectacle Rock. We'll see if Solietu is also interested in the Mimic Clips. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, with it is not often that we come into pod with so few keys, like 0. Like normally, by the time you find pod, you probably already found at least one small key, so you can at least potentially make some decisions about whether you want how far you want to go in. But today we found pod so early. So,
I'm
that day crow on Zelda's side.
I'm slightly baffled. Maybe it was faster, but Solietu's death warp there felt a bit unnecessary.
The shooters were not cooperating with him, like, at all.
The shooters were cooperating with him. It's just not that far a walk. Like, of all the death warps in the game, I think it saved him like 3 screens, 3 rooms. How long does the death animation take?
After all this time, I'm not actually sure if I have a time. Alright, it does look like though Solietu did find Ganon, so it is behind Magic Bat, so we are gonna need that hammer eventually, or maybe a mirror. Ooh, he has found an interesting one-way connector. By interesting, I mean somewhat on the slower side, especially when we don't have those boosts that we saw in Lake Helia Island.
So Zelgadissan found it a while ago, but didn't yet have the hook shot and hadn't completed the village. Solietu, on the other hand, has completed the village. Might as well follow Spiral Cave now. And Zelgadissan takes the opportunity of taking a saving clip to go and check out the back of Escape and find precisely nothing of interest.
Yeah, but oh man, good thing we have the blue mail, otherwise we might be a bit more lower on health. But Solietu does find the big key to GT, coupled with the fact that we're getting quite a few small keys as well, potentially means that we are going to, maybe find some progression there in Ganon's Tower somewhere.
Ooh, that connector has paid off. 1, taking you to Ice Red area, which is not the easiest place to get to. And 2, finding Paradox Cave, which Zelgadissan has also found.
Hey, how about we're gonna get a high 5 relatively soon? And of course, just due to kind of like the nature of how entrances can't be shuffled, you are not required by logic to get through a Spiral Cave with only 3 hearts. Just like on Laser Bridge, you are absolutely required to have some sort of invincibility item, or the Mirror Shield in order to logically access the items on Laser Bridge. Because not all of us can be like Zelda and do laser skips with only 3 hearts and no boots.
Turtle Rock Big Key.
You also Turtle Rock Small Key as well?
The Turtle Rock Big Key brings the Turtle Rock Big Chest into logic, which we found. That's why I'm mentioning it. Like it's right there. Anytime you want to go back up to the witch's hut.
That mini mold arm on on Solietu's side, he is not cooperating at all. Wow. Yeah, and I think you're right, Excalibur. I think only though Zelda is the one who saw that at Witch's Hut, because I think like Solietu just went over to use his fairy drop. I don't think he's gone back yet.
He has not. Interestingly, zelgadissan is not going to learn that the Spiral Cave comes out here because he doesn't have a glove and so can't pick up the rock. And so might at some later date come out there having completed Spiral Cave and feel silly.
Yeah, speaking of, we just have the other inaccessible way back for oh no, I guess all you do has bombs. But yeah, we saw Zelda come out of this entrance. Speaking of, is this our first foray into Dark World? Zelda has found a connector over to the village of Outcasts.
Yeah, which is an important thing to find. We'll see how much bunny walking either of them are interested in. zelgadissan looks like checks exactly one entrance in Bales.
Yeah, no mirror either, so it's not really gonna help him. Like he can't really do much as a as a blue badger or a super blue badger for what it's worth. Although maybe it looks like Solietu is gonna do a little bit more exploring.
And they've gotten super unlucky in their map drops in that Solietu revealed his map and it showed him 2 red pendants.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah, that's right, because he's also the one who talks to the bomb shop person as well. Okay, Zelda finding Peaks Town. Another 4 fast items up front. No small key, no big key, no hammer means we're not going anywhere else. And of course, the fact that he's only on 4 parts. And I think Blue Mail, that's where it's not going to be unreasonable. 5 parts, sorry. At least it was a Sank Heart, I guess. Or maybe we wanted Sank Heart? I don't know, this early on, right? 4 hearts versus 5 is not going to be that big of a deal. I
enjoyed zelgadissan's very deliberate walking directly into enemies there to try to make the death work easier. Solietu appears to be continuing plan bunny walk, badger walk.
Yeah, what is his bunny sprite? Does anybody actually know?
Unfortunately, I'm not a big Pokemon guy. Could, in principle, set up an iframes Super Bunny there, but chooses not to.
He does have Blue Mail, so actually I think it is technically possible. Like, he's going to be able to survive an enemy hit. Yeah, so what happens is if you get a hit by an enemy, right as the time that you, in this case, like, transition over to, like, the door, you will still get Super Bunny state.
Yeah, but chose not to. There's a Phoenix right there. It's not that hard to do, but finds Aga Tower.
Yeah, so Solietu is actually giving some pretty good information, for us, being able to be able to walk to all of these locations. However, no mirror and no pearl means he's not going to be able to do very much. Although he is entering Skull Woods, so if assuming we can do a bunny revival inside, we are going to at least be able to make some sort of progress. Assuming he doesn't get killed by this Ropa, that's looking like actually be a pretty good guard for Skull Woods.
On the other hand, having taken a bunch of damage before he gets here means that this death warp is easier. Show yourself, mate. Oh, Super Bunny never stayed. Never mind. I forgot about that. Doesn't need to do dungeon bunny.
If you end up dropping down, you'll also get Super Bunny states, or super side dropping state, I guess.
But after some Psyduck murder, Dungeon Bunny revival will cause Solietu to now be back in Psyduck form until he walks outside. With enough patience, you can basically do all of the front of Skull Woods. Oh god! So he's now walked outside, which is fine. It sets up this room better. Except now he's not a Psyduck again, and so now he gets to visit the Gibdos for a while.
Yeah.
There's another death animation.
You know, I mean, you know, for what it's worth, this room, you know, runners are much more accustomed to doing, you know, the statue room for Scope was from this entrance as opposed to the other one, because the other entrance certainly can make things a bit more unpredictable, right? Or just at least less familiar. However, this room, as Solietu is kind of demonstrating, is not an easy room regardless of how you try and do this. Oh, these Gyptos, man, they really, I guess they're hungry.
We got there, I think.
Yeah, it looks okay.
Please don't master.
All right, yes.
Okay.
Oh, that was a nice real sneak right next to that Gypto, though. All right, all that work just for a very valuable compass too, Mr. Meyer. We've got some peace of mind, at least. So, of course, keep in mind, you know, we don't have the pearl, so this is, you know, absolutely not logic, but, you know, it's just a compass, so.
Now we go back outside, and we throw ourselves in another pit, and then we get to do it again. ZelgaDissan, it's a much faster fake flipper this time.
Yeah, that was super smooth on his side as well. It just looked like he just literally just dove right in. Like he didn't actually pick up flipper somewhere. We just all missed it, right?
Nope. But with 2 keys and 2 small keys and a big key, going back to Triple Rock.
Yeah,
in the middle where you can get some chests without a King of Smire.
Yeah, I mean, like the fact that we already have like so much already for Turtle Rock is certainly a very strong indicator that there might be something here. Yeah, and I think Zelda did take his bottle when he was over to Eastern Palace and visit the sick kid. I think it was just 20 rupees. So if Solietu never goes back there, it's not going to be really any loss for him.
Yeah, it's a ways out of the way. So it wouldn't surprise me if at some future date with a mirror, there isn't a trip back there.
Right, with the mirror. Speaking of, that would be a very convenient item for these runners to find. Although, admittedly, the fact that they are death warping in, I would say, like more Dark World dungeons, especially in Turtle Rock, where even when you have blue mail, things hurt pretty strongly. So death warping, at least so far, is not going to be too big of an issue. Yeah.
Where it's totally possible to die by accident, so dying on purpose isn't that bad. So Solietu's bunny walk finally pays off, and he finds the flute in
that is. That movement, flute is obviously a really nice movement item, and not probably as strictly required. You know, if let's just say if Mr. Maya or something in that area is required because we have a connector, but the fact that we have a flute and we can just move around much more freely around the world is certainly going to be really nice.
So I find it interesting that Solietu bothered to go get that vanilla Skullwood small key, basically because of the way that Crosskeys works. It was decided to not make the change that was made in the other rando categories, where that chest is now randomized. Okay. So
I don't know if that was an intentional walk into a chomp.
Really assume not, because there's every chance we could screw this up.
Yeah. So maybe I should take back my words for potentially finding value in Turtle Rock. So I think we found a compass, and we found a heart piece, and we found 10 arrows.
Yeah. While he's here, ZelgaDissan is going to bounce up across the rail there. This is in logic because you can walk around, but it's much faster this way.
Oh, hey, this is actually a pretty convenient place. So unfortunately, we can't still get into that middle door because we have no cape and no master sword. But it is potentially a set of locations that could actually be pretty difficult to get to. Of course, the one entrance that we are able to check, of course, was just a single room with no value whatsoever. So maybe the middle entrance will have some value eventually, but we're not going to be able to find that out until much later. Mystery key on a Brace King, so potentially they are probably going to go get that. We have seen a lot of random small keys, but nothing really special, right? Like no small key to Thieves Town, no small key to Swamp Palace, so potentially there's some added value.
No small keys to pod, and we certainly need some of them.
That's true, yes, you are absolutely right about that.
So Solietu never made it to South Cac earlier because of the his quixotic quest via the screen you never walk through to every drop down in the game, and so has not yet, for instance, found Laser Bridge. and I like this.
Zelda. Looks like we've got some muscle memory movies built in for Zelda. Hook shot over to the pot, was all ready to go. Does not have Kina Samari, unfortunately, or the boots, for that matter. I'm not sure, even if you had the boots, Zelda was going to be willing to hover all the way over to the end of Turtle Rock, but...
To work.
Yeah, though, although Solietu here, yeah, armed with a Cane of Berta, this is going to be in logic for him. I think we already saw the best value chest that he's already opened up, which was leaving open to a small Kita GT. But he's going to get the rest of this chest, just for peace of mind.
The Hyrule Castle map. Oh, what a winner. Oh, and Solietu gets lasered into pit, because this is the Japanese 1.0 version. You're totally still on that tile until the animation finishes. Not that it's a huge deal, it's just kind of funny. Zelda finds Eastern and goes.
Zelda is headed straight inside. All right. Well, so I guess maybe we are just running out of locations.
He's running
for
low
Zelda
on...
to be exploring.
It's found the ice rod area. Like, I think the only thing left is like Agina entrance and the obnoxious entrance on the way to Agina entrance. So, because remember that this flute is super far out of logic. So,
Oh yeah.
which Solietu should remember to keep in mind for the next little while.
Alright, so Zelda, at least, most likely probably already, hating every minute of being inside Eastern Palace for, longer than he has to be, at least has some solitude that he does pick up the lamp. So it is also a fire source for us, so we haven't actually seen any need for it yet, but it's also certainly going to be better to have something like that sooner rather than later.
So Solietu found the flute, turned on his flute, and then walked through a connector and wound up on Death Mountain.
Yeah, this is a really nice place to be in. Lots of entrances here, and we're going to be able to rescue the old man. In the light this time. Or at least we're going to be able to see.
Rescue the old man in logic. Nobody does that.
Yeah. And who rescues the old man when you actually could see him too, right?
You stumble around in a cave and then like, who are you and why are you following me?
Yeah. Alright, so we did find Mire Shed on Death Mountain. Nothing though. We did, I guess, replenish our bomb supply. We're looking for progression. We've got some, decent-ish items, but really nothing to kind of point us to a particular location or direction.
Or even to unlock more spheres of
Yeah,
stuff. Right, the hook shot's cool and all, but in the light world it doesn't actually get you anywhere. At least until you find the mountain. Speaking of which, this mountain is not totally full of cool stuff either. Ooh, hookshot cave.
Speaking of,
that's
though,
a good one.
hookshot in Hookshot Cave. That is going to be some pretty nice core items for us.
Not actually in the hookshot cave entrance. Here we go, doing some hookshots. Ooh, hookshot from the north.
Yeah, not oftentimes you get to see a different way of clearing out Hookshot Cave. Value, on the other hand, though. Hey, alright, flippers. That is step one. In order to get our boots.
Step one of several.
The first step is oftentimes the most important one, right?
Yes. ZelgaDissan also finds the connector up to West Death Mountain, and again, with the lamp in hand, all this is in logic, despite the fact that was a dark connector, and will soon be a right. This dark is marked over.
Yeah. Oftentimes, not often, you actually get to see someone jump down from Desert Rights. Because that is probably one of the most useless connectors. But because Solietu hasn't been over to the Desert Palace area, it's going to be a good opportunity for him to take advantage of this one-time connector.
Well, and also he's got a flute, so he can just.
Oh, that's
go
true.
back with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
gnome. I think if Zelgadissan was offered that opportunity, would not take it because it's a bit of a walk to get back here. Solietu, I think, is going to go straight across the bottom of the light world from here. Getting ready. Zelgadissan does find the old man, or rather, will find the old man shortly.
Yeah, but this, so Solietu did get a chance to rescue the old man before he left the mountain, right?
I didn't see it, but I might have gotten distracted.
We do also have a connector that is from the back of the old man cave as well. That is, I think, technically logic. And
Yes.
oh man, Zelda. Yeah, okay, so we definitely did not see Solietu rescue the old man because Zelda has just upgraded his suit to Edgeworth style, and I'm not quite sure if he really wants that at this stage. He would really, really like to find that mirror.
But what can you do?
So just retracing some of Solietu's steps on Zelda's side, he's going to see Hookshot Cave, be pretty happy that we got to get 4 items, and I think the value was flippers here, is that right?
Yep. And in logic, flippers gets us. It gets us Zora area in logic. Yay.
So at least both of them Houlihan, I don't think they would have actually gotten enough money otherwise. So at least they have 500 rupees in order to afford whatever Zora has. And I guess this also gives them, all of the water checks, right? So we can go check Hobo. Always a great time to go visit. We can also check Waterfall Ferry.
Yeah. So Zora, Waterfall Ferry, Hobo, and the island in the middle, the capacity ferry, I guess, is what's there in the vanilla game. So a couple of entrances. And again, they're kind of running out of things to do.
Speaking of things to do, though, I believe both of them picked up the Hyrule Castle small key, so at least we're going to be able to see the full entirety of the castle.
I missed where Zelgadissan found the front of the castle, but Solietu's getting to the Dark Cross room from the back.
Oh, Zelda. Oh man, Zelda made a very excellent decision. So, remembering, of course, that the peanut butter is actually a weapon, takes full advantage of it, uses it in order to kill that first blue guard, and he is rewarded with a permanent weapon, which is a sword. You can see Zelda really trying his hardest in order to set up his death warp with the fact that he has upgraded, quote unquote, to the red mail.
Yeah. Throwing himself in a pit over and over again to set up his death warp, and now, and with his sword in hand, I think he's a lot safer than he was. Finding a sword, big win.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, sword, a permanent weapon, especially early on, is super useful, and it's not like these guys really have had, much, right? We have the hook shot, which is really great for some enemies, but it doesn't really, kill most of them. And Cane of Burna is, uncomfortable to use, right, oftentimes.
I need to laugh briefly. I missed it. Which cave was at Old Man Rescue Point when Zelda walked in and out of there? But it's the front of the Old Man Rescue Cave.
Oh yeah, that's right. Alright, okay, so let's just hope that this is not going to be a heart piece that will refill Zelda's health. Okay.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah, unfortunate red mail, right? She takes 2 bombs. So I think it was also maybe a bit unlucky that the Green Guard decided to aggro alongside Zelda when he was trying to kill the ball and chain guard. So that Green Guard, though, just with the way things are coded, always does half-hearted damage regardless of armor, so it would have been really nice to be able to duck work with that instead of 2 bombs.
Solietu finds the back of desert on East Deck Mount, which is a good find. So we'll write that down for later.
Oh, hey, speaking of the map of
there.
Terra, yeah, we have found yet another dungeon.
I briefly didn't remember what it looked like because we didn't see it at all in Racer Life. And with
I think Zelda is just being paranoid at this point. It's like every single heart piece or heart container, I think he's just nervous when he ever tries to death warp. At least it wasn't saying heart. That
the
is.
Solietu has hookshot in hand, but is not interested in going upstairs. I don't know if he doesn't know how to do Harapot or just is making the tactical choice not to.
I mean, like Harapot without boots, honestly, is not like super convenient, right? Because you have to kind of like bomb yourself and line up on just the right pixels and then go over and. It's like,
Yeah, it's not free and it takes a while, but
yeah.
And we know where the boots are, so.
Yeah, and especially given that, you know, there is like so much more stuff to do up here, you know, that he hasn't already done. Like, for example, like, you know, the fact that he's going to Count Castle now means that he's going to be able to pick up his sword as well. It's just going to be more value, at least early on. Zelda, though, doing some badger walking.
The fact that Hyrule Castle, so this ledge is only accessible via connectors. The fact that the connector is the castle is something that will not infrequently get missed. I pick up sort of the key there, mate. So it's a good find. I don't think there's anything interesting there, but you know.
Where are you going, Zelda? Over to using that hookshot. I'm going to make his way over to East Death Mountain. Another set of probably some pretty nice connectors and locations as well. But I think Solietu has already been over here, right?
There's
Yes.
Mimic Cave and some other and 2 dungeons over here.
Yeah.
So.
You know, all this exploration is really great. You know, especially we are in the light world, so we don't have to come here with the moon pearl. But we are really seeing things that we have to come back for, right? In the cave, we don't have the hammer. We don't have still much of anything.
No, this is we've seen Blindside, but we weren't able to get any of the stuff out of it.
Yeah, no mirror, no pearl. Yeah, Zelda's going to pick up his very worthwhile, or at least see his very worthwhile 40 rupees in the form of 20 apiece. Let's see if he decides to move forward.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
At least they're inching their way, they're nickel and diming their wealth, I guess, at this point. Oh, looks like Zelda is going to try and at least see what's at the top of Hera. Harapod, yeah, so if something big, if something is up here at the top of Hera, it is going to be pretty significant for Zelda. We really don't know where the Hera Big Key is. And good thing, I guess, he went up to the upgrade fairy because he's got more than enough bombs to spare.
There we go.
Yeah, doesn't need it, and of course...
I missed the one frame of turning looking left, but it looks like he did it because he didn't.
Yes.
Walk.
Yeah, it is very important to face left before dropping into the pot. Otherwise, you are going to soft lock yourself, and it's not a good time.
Yeah, like I don't understand. Look at that sometimes.
Sometimes, only sometimes.
So it's like there's surprisingly few soft locks in this game, right? Like it's remarkably fault tolerant to the nonsense that we get up to. And yet, when you don't look left doing Harapot, the game freezes. Like, what? That's the thing that causes a soft lock?
Yeah, that you do bring up a good point. Alright, Zelda, though, with his permanent weapon, he does have something to take down Moldorm. Of course, this is going to be, a fun fight. By fun, I mean he has no boost. But Moldorm goes down. Lickety split for Zelda. It was actually a really nice fight.
I like to just poke him in the butt during the zoom phase there.
And yeah, very well behaved, along with some excellent skill, picking up a matching color shield on his side. Exactly what Zelda wanted to see, but hey, more importantly, we've got our first crystal.
Solietu found Floating Island without a mirror. Sad. I missed where the connector came from. I was too busy watching the Moldorm fight.
Yeah, a mirror would be even more convenient to have. I know that Solietu took the connector from the back of Old Man Cave, but that's probably somehow how he wound up here.
Okay, that's a relatively convenient access to floating island. Zelgadissan is going to be real sad when he comes out the far end.
Oh, that's right. All right. Well, you know, he's put off this this connector for long enough. Unfortunately, we still don't have anything to make things any faster on his side. He is going to be rewarded with the big heated GT at the end of this. But yeah, once he sees where this spits him out, he's going to be not as excited as Solietu once was.
Boy, Solietu just walking into Spectre Rock Cave and falling down. We are exploring connectors. I am surprised that neither of them are following the flippers.
Yeah, so far that is true. And we also still haven't found GT. Well, we do get to potentially do more bunny walking. Glad he manages to at least still escape the Ropa, because got kind of caught on the stairs, and the Ropas aren't exactly friendly. Although they do have red mail at this point, so it's probably not going to be as big a deal if he gets hit.
It's a heavily armored bunny rabbit.
That's right.
And you're right, that was the back of Old Man exit to Dark East Death Mountain. Hype Cave?
Yeah, speaking of bunny walking, we do find Hype Cave. Still, no mirror, no pearl. So many locations that we're going to basically have to all come back to.
My tracker has lots of entrances marked chest at this point, because they've certainly found plenty of places they would like to go.
So, Days Cloud in chat bring up a very excellent point. So one of the things that actually is in logic you can do is talk to NPCs. That is actually a potentially, hopefully nothing is there on the bat-like man, because Solietu walked into Hype Cave and then walked right out.
Yeah, and that guy can totally have the Moon Pearl.
Yes, you know, for the record, you know, for what it's worth, though, like it is, you know, very common muscle memory to just kind of, you know, walk in, walk out when you don't have something like this. But yeah, hopefully nothing big's gonna be there.
And of course, the reason that the bunny can talk to NPCs is so that the obnoxious guys on Death Mountain can talk to you.
Yes, we always want to know more stuff about what's going on. I mean, you know, maybe, you know, like nobody ever goes and visits them, you know. You know, I'm sure they would like some company.
I mean, if your friend turned into a soccer ball, yeah, not a good life. All right. Phew. Solietu is saved in this case, but Zelda, you know, to his credit, he does remember that the guy can have something. One heart piece closer to another full heart container and a heart refill that Zelda probably wanted to see now, rather than later when he wants to death warp. Yeah. That would have been a flippin' miserable spot for the Moon Pearl, but we're getting to the point where wherever it is a pretty miserable spot.
Alright, so is this going to be where Zelda finally follows up on his hookshot 2 flippers checks?
Sure, looks like it.
Alright, looks like it. Hello, Boots, for the second time. We would like to put you on very soon. We're getting there.
This death warp is miserable on the other side of the screen.
Yeah. You know, so at least when Zelda did this, right, he was on, I think, blue mail and 4 hearts or something like that.
Yeah, we were like, oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, and now Solietu is here with red mail and 6 hearts. I'm just like, oh.
Also following up on the flippers, having come across the south side of Light World.
Alright, yeah, it looks like we are going to at least visit Hobo for the time being on both sides, so we're also going to get rewarded with a compass. Are we going to get more compasses before progression? Yeah, is this game compass percent at this point?
Solietu getting out his flute, presumably going to flute out of the hobo area, back down to flute spot. The flute spot next to the lake, rather than swimming out. So it's a little bit of time.
Hey, speaking of, we found Solietu was just there. We found, in this case, the big key to Thieves Town. So that is going to be a couple more items that we're going to have logical access to, along with our first pod small key. Not oftentimes you get to see something like that.
First pod small at 48 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. And we have a overworld high five from both our runners. Visiting Waterfall Fairy, Solietu is just slightly ahead of Zelda. Makes sense. We do have a duck versus, a human. It can definitely swim better.
Yeah, but the
or a platypus, I guess. Also, another mystery small key. Could this be our second pod small?
Yes, it definitely could be our second pod small. Could also be some other things.
It can be many other small keys.
You get to see the advantage of swimming versus walking. Solietu, despite playing as a duck, forgets that swimming is faster than walking.
Swimming is a very difficult mechanic. Hey, look, we have another mystery small key. Oh. Well,
in the Dark World, so that's not a huge winner yet.
It does put another item, yes, into logic once we can get there. And we're not gonna start, I guess, worrying too much until we find our second Castle Tower small key.
There's your second pod small. So even with two Castle Towers, even with two Castle Tower small keys, I wouldn't get too worried about the place on account of it's in the Dark World, and so unlikely to be logically required at this point.
Okay. Actually, so speaking of those two pod small keys, fresh on Zelda's mind, he says, I am going back with 2 more small keys than what I had the first time coming in here. Yeah, it looks like though Zelda is going to opt to burn one of the small keys, at least for the front, knock him to try and mimic clip his way through on the Bullock side again.
So Solietu finds... You have the key for that. Ugh. And you just walked through a big key door. Ugh.
He has the big key. Yes. Why pick up the big key if you're not going to use it, right?
So, I just am impressed that he walked through a big key locked door and failed to open the big key locked chest.
Maybe he's coming back for it.
I mean, I hope so. I'm a little disappointed if he's not.
When he death warps out, he's gonna see the big chest, and maybe it'll trigger his memory. Zelda though.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say Zelda though, finding our real actual first piece of progression in pod, which was the glove.
I missed if it was actually in logic or not. Speaking of a glove.
Speaking of a glove, did we just find both gloves in pod? So Zelda has definitely made the right decision to come back to pod. I guess he was just really chasing those clippers.
He's one more pod small up on Solietu, because Solietu also appears to have missed the island entrance, the Capacity Ferry entrance.
Oh, right, because he went straight over to the Zora area.
Yeah, for no reason, basically. Given the flippers. Remember that entrance next if you watch back the VOD, Solietu?
So Solietu gave us a nice demonstration of just how convenient having a sword and having bombos is for that screen.
Yeah. Did you see Zelda getting a bow?
We were just at Eastern Palace, Zelda! Why did you decide to go in?
I mean, Eastern Palace is right here. It's in.
Unfortunately, we still don't have that big key to Eastern Palace, so I really don't see Zelda going back anytime soon, but... Alright, so it looks like at least Solietu is trying to make his way across Chomps. He does have the red mail, so it's definitely much more safety on his side. Of course, that just also means that...
it takes 3 whole hits to die.
Yeah! Mm-hmm. Alright, so at least, on Zelda's side, he found both gloves in rapid succession. Didn't even get a chance to take advantage of just lifting those light-colored rocks. He gets to lift all sorts of colored rocks now. Gonna chase some club block locations immediately. Finds the back of Skull Woods. No, well, actually, he has a sword. He doesn't have a fire rod, but he also doesn't have a small key, so I guess he can't go back there quite yet.
Has not yet made a trip to the front of Skull Woods. Opted not to bunny walk over there and do the bunny shenanigans.
Did you see that he was trying? So normally, when you try and do death working on the bottom of Skull Woods, right? You just kind of bump to those Gyptos a couple times, and then you're good to go. And Zelda had to walk all the way up to get the spikes because he has red mail, and Gyptos was half a heart of damage on red mail. Man. I will say though, that out of logic flute from Solietu is really helping him, just navigate the overworld and the light world just so much nicer and cleaner than Zelda.
Noticed the lack of ticking off this entrance in his back. This is still a slightly slower route than actually just doing it while you're here, but ZelgaDissan does choose to bother to go to the graveyard and get the $300. Surprised me a little bit.
Did he just blind check that, maybe?
Maybe. He does know where Ganon is, he might as well. But I don't think I've seen Useless Fairy either.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, yeah, did we see Magic Bat?
To know.
I also don't remember if we've seen that.
The tracker that I'm using doesn't unfortunately have a drop-down tracker, so and you're asking me to remember things at one in the morning.
I apologize. Alright, so we actually have a little bit more divergence with that. Oh, nice find, Zelda chasing those mitts from Pod, or at least chasing the glove that he found from Pod. He has finally found the thing that he wants, so he doesn't have to keep death warping in and out.
Yes. And also, this unlocks a few entrances and a few items, like the floating island, which he's immediately heading to.
Are we gonna be, I'm gonna have boots sub 1 hour on Zelda's side? This is gonna be amazing. This is how high my expectations were for this seed. Although meanwhile though, now we are, with that big key of Thieves' Town in hand, that's Solietu just picked up from the back of the hospital huts, we are diving straight in.
I'm kind of surprised, I mean, I'm not. I'm kind of surprised that ZelgaDissan is doing this first, given the known existence of the boots.
Alright, so fun fact. So we did mention earlier that as a bunny or badger, you are allowed to talk to the NPC, but you'd also still see that Zelda tried to basically Super Bunny his way into chess game. You can talk to the NPC and he'll take your money of 30 rupees. You cannot open any chest unless you're in Super Bunny state.
Yeah,
it's almost fun to find figure out the hard way.
Bunnies get scammed.
That's right.
He's like, sure, you can open chests. And you're there with your cute little bunny paws, and like, no. Ganon's Tower.
That's right. Good. So it's even more convenient on Zelda's side that he has managed to find the mirror before really being able to do much more exploring, because death warping out here or walking back without boots is pretty inconvenient.
Fortunately for Solietu, it seems like the easiest way to get there is with a mirror. So, oof.
Well, I guess chess game is now back in logic.
Yes. Yeah. Ooh, and desert in the bottom drop.
Yeah, after basically, 45-ish minutes of almost no progression for quite some time, Zelda is kind of basically coming at a lot of progression just pretty quickly, right? We found both gloves in rapid succession. One of them is, I think, out of logic, right, because it was in the back. But, after that, right, we found mirror, we found pearl. We hopefully find a bit more stuff.
Well, and the pearl was effectively mirror locked. At least I haven't seen any way for them to get to that entrance without the mirror. So they're taking a connector, a dark connector at that, so the lamp is required, to dark East Death Mountain, and mirroring over is the mandatory bunny traversal to the pearl.
Yeah, speaking of also things that we don't normally get to see in Crosskeys or otherwise, Solietu does not have either glove from Pod in Peakstown, so he had to take kind of like the longer way in order to avoid basically lifting up that rock in order to rescue quote unquote the Banin.
All right, sir, all along. Sorry, I had to do a silly voice.
Alright, on to a hopefully scripted blind fight. Looks good so far.
Zelda checking connectors, and gets spat out at Mimic Cave entrance, which does save him a trip over there, or half a trip over there, the slow way, which is to say via the castle. Which you would have done at some point with the mirror now in hand, because that's a mirrorable entrance. But it's still not really where you want to get spat out. And unfortunately, Solietu gets only a pendant for his trouble.
Yeah, no, pendant Facedown just has the same value in any mode. And, we already saw the boost on Lake Valley Island, so we know that there's nothing of value left in Pendant Peakstown.
I am confused why Zelda is not going and getting these boots.
Hopefully we're gonna get there sooner rather than later.
I mean,
all this stuff is on the way, but...
I mean, the Death Mountain certainly wasn't on the way. He did a whole Death Mountain trip.
We'll ask about his GPS later. How's that?
Right, noted.
But certainly this is going to be, assuming Zelda does, kind of stay in the Dark World, this is eventually going to lead him over to Lake Hylia Island. Dark Lake Hylia. Oh, that's right. So we are going to get our mystery small key. I can't remember if Zelda actually checked or saw that this was a mystery small key, but if he's not, he's going to pick this up blind.
Might as well.
Third small key is GT. This is going to be... okay, so once we end up finding something, like the hammer, or the Cane of Samaria, we are going to be able to, get our bounties worth from GT.
So Solietu has found yet another connector to yet another part of Dark World, which he still does not have a pearl for, and is now playing dodgems with the Murderdactyls as a bunny.
Yeah, we're still found a lot of shops.
Presumably remembering that Pyramid is in logic as a bunny.
Yes, that is absolutely
his way over there.
This is actually some pretty rockin' digging music on Zelda's side. Alright, so no qualms about picking up that heart container after we've already found the mirror, so no worries about Duck morphing, although he is on red mail. Zelda, though, does just beat the timer just in time, so he doesn't have to get a couple of extra dialogue boxes from the guy.
I'm not saying that Zelda should, drop everything and go grab the boots, but I am willing to question the trip to Dark East Death Mountain before going and grabbing the boots, because there was no way that trip was going to ever wind up over there. And the Dark East Death Mountain trip would have been faster with boots in it. So he save and quit, restarted at Death Mountain at the Old Man, walked out the back door again. So.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we're Solietu to check out Pyramid, another $300 that he is not willing to pick up, but no pearl, no mirror means we are not going to be able to progress further. Although, speaking of progression, he has made a very excellent decision to come into Pod, so he will at least get his gloves. Unknown whether or not he's going to make his way further back. He's thinking. He picked up his glove. It's probably a very slight amount of surprise. Wonder whether he wants to make a foray into the back. Zelda picked up from Hype Cave. I didn't even see.
I was busy looking at Solietu, so maybe stunned on the inside, but not on the outside. There was no face response. We'll also pick up mitts.
Alright, looks like, at least according to our trackers, Sammy Moss and Tom will touch. Nothing really exciting in the Hype Cave unless there was a small key to Turtle Rock. We, actually, like, we haven't picked up even that many maps, right? So, I don't think we have, like...
We've gotten all the useless ones.
Yeah.
So we got,
I was gonna say, we don't even have complete information at this point. Alright, Zelda finally picked up his boots! Not even sub-hour, but now he at least can run.
Yeah. Oh, this running. Oh, ran out of running. But then we can swim our way to the shopping mall. And with actual flippers, opposed to fake flippers, the getting bombed there doesn't even own him that badly.
Yeah, actually, so speaking of that flute, Tom Touch has found actually is over to the Maya area via connector.
Sure. He of course had this flute in hand for ages.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely gotten like probably more value than he's probably ever expected to end up using this flute.
I'm not convinced by this, just because he knows the flute is behind the pearl logically. And so this is not the place that's going to solve your lack of a moon pearl problem unless you found a connector leading to the Mire area. And he also appears to have not checked the desert main entrance while he was there. Oh, right, no mirror. Never mind, ignore me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the lack of mirror is really hurting at this point. I mean, like the gloves were a really nice piece of progression, and that was one of the first things that Zelda decided to chase after. Right? Well, I guess it was the only thing they could really chase after. But he needs to make his way over. Solietu needs to make his way over to the 50 rupee cave entrance. That is where he's going to pick up his mirror. And then he can get his boots, and then we can at least we can go faster.
Then he can pick up his pearl, and then...
Oh, right, yeah, that's right. We need to pick up pearl, too. Hey, speaking of, though, yeah, so we saw these two and waited up and picked up that small key to Skullwoods from, what's it? Skullwoods, yeah, from Pinball Room, right? So he actually has something in order to get back here.
Stole a key, and can't be bothered dealing with the Gibdos, because setting up this bomb drop with all the Gibdos in the way is kind of a pain, so...
Yeah, and the fact that we don't have a fire rod, really, I mean, like, there is no reason why we need to conserve magic at this point, right? So you may as well just take them all out with bombos.
Yeah.
Still, really nicely done, though,
yep.
to be able to bomb jump over and just use a layup in order to get back here.
And didn't get wall mastered, which is the...
Yes, the most important part.
There's the Eastern Palace map, very exciting.
Well, that is going to be more information for us, assuming Zelda does do a map check, because I think that is something that we don't necessarily know something about. But at this point, though, because I think we saw Solietu get the pendant off of Blind from Thieves Town, most likely Easter's going to be a crystal, because there's only one more pendant outstanding.
And Solietu's kind of got whammied on beating Blind. The odds are always sort of in your favor at the beginning that the boss prizes will be useful, and get the 22% or whatever.
Yeah. No. So Solietu, patience and perseverance here on Fighter Sword Mothula is certainly not going to be an easy fight. He does have red mail that makes things a little bit better in that if you get hit by Mothula, it's only half a heart of damage, but the spikes, though, unfortunately, still always do 1 heart. Does he have any? He has Burna as a safety. You need to
so
be
here's
careful,
the question that I
though.
don't know. What's the Burna damage table for Mothula look like?
I assume it's still Fighter Sword damage, so probably still 16 hits with Burna.
Seems like a reasonable play, frankly. I'm given a full magic meter.
Yeah. Alright, so unfortunately nothing of actual value unless you really care about another 20 rupees, but Solietu has picked up his first crystal, 5-6 crystal of that. So halfway also over to Pyramid Fairy.
When someday he has mirrors and pearls.
one day we can dream. Hey, speaking of mirror and pearl, Solietu was here in bunny form. Unfortunately, but fortunately for Zelda, he is here with all the equipment he needs in order to get everything. Half magic's nice.
Magic's nice. GT small.
Is that all 4 GT keys?
Yeah. And the big.
Yeah. So we have found Galen's Tower. Actually, so with 4 smalls, does that mean upper GT is in logic?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, assuming he has the bow, right? But we don't have enough pot smalls in order to put that bow in logic, right?
Correct. There is the other bow in Crosskeys, which is presumably somewhere.
Somewhere, yes.
There
We saw, yeah.
Very few entrances that he can't get to with myths and walking around at this point. So presumably that other bow is in logic somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah. Alright, so very excellent news for Solietu. Chasing after that glove, he has finally picked up his mirror, so he is certainly making a very strong headway into his side of progression.
Straight back to the desert area. Now with the mirror in hand, actually check the checkable entrances in here.
Yeah, and I guess from his side, he can also has access to checkerboard cave as well. All right, now we can get into the front of desert.
This is the slow way to do it. You just snoogle right up to the back of the mire head. You can mirror in front of the door, desert, and it's saves you a walk on the way back out.
Okay, so interesting. Another connector in the front of desert, which is Bumper Cave. No cape so far. Hey, Zelda has found Castle Tower with a Castle Tower key in hand. Of course, 70 minutes in, we are still on Fighter Sword. Better than, of course, being swordless, but it would be pretty nice if they can find a more sturdier permanent weapon.
These guys
to their name.
happily hand in all their armor upgrades.
Yeah, that's right.
Shield
All their
upgrades.
armor upgrades, all their shield upgrades.
Give me some swords. Ice rods are good too.
Ice Rod is a very nice find. And more often than not, at this point, Turtle Rock is probably going to be a crystal, because there is only one more pendant outstanding, and the fact that we have an Ice Rod early means that is one fewer thing we have to go find later on.
And as we mentioned a while ago, when zelgadissan chased his 2 Turtle Rock smalls and a Turtle Rock big into Turtle Rock, it sure seems like something should be in there somewhere.
Yes, surely.
Ooh, checkerboard cave is pairing. There's plenty of other ice rods, Siryu, so.
That's one of the features of Crosskeys. Instead of 1 ice rod, you get like 10 ice rods.
Almost guaranteed that at least one of them is missing.
That's right. Zelda showing off, actually doing the statue room really well. Coming in from one of the more familiar entrances, but still very nice to see them. Probably also a bit more confident in that he has red mail and a bunch of parts to his name, so he's probably not as worried of taking a death. Oh man, he just dashed right under that rope, but didn't get lotteried at all. That is of course absolute skill on Zelda's side.
Solietu pausing in the gambling game. I assume that's a where the heck can I go that I have forgotten about pause. And then remembers the right answer, which is going out the back door of the old man.
Alright, so probably almost like an hour's difference or something. Zelda picks up his flute, so he's gonna be happy to see that.
Yeah, and I expect him to head to the mire area pretty quick. As soon as that gets turned on. And the old man lives right next to Doc, so...
Yeah, Solietu, as you said, he's right here where he needs to be in order to pick up his pearl relatively soon. Hopefully these death rocks don't get in the way.
Full advantage Zelda at this point.
Speaking of GT, so we are still missing a couple of GT small keys on Solietu's side. We are also missing some pretty key items. We don't have Cane of Samaria, so we can't really do right side. We don't have the hammer, so we can't do like any of left side.
I don't know about that key steal. Seems like a waste of time. Like, you already got 2 GT smalls. What do you already have?
I mean, he doesn't have the other 2 that Zelda has, right? I mean, you know, you can never have enough GT small keys.
I mean, sure, to go spend them in the place that he can't get to. Like,
so yeah, you were actually mentioning, so Zelda is actually just demonstrating exactly what you said maybe like 5 minutes ago, right, relative to what Solietu was doing. Mirror right up on top of desert, and you are right there.
Or you could screw it up afterwards, and you have to be a little bit careful mirroring back, because if you're too far down, you bonk. Which is what happened to Zelda there. He was trying to make sure that he wouldn't bonk and walk back in the door.
So I think we've already seen Zelda 2 Desert, is that right? Because this is where Solietu is. I'm trying to remember if there was anything of note here. Oh, that's right. Okay, so yeah, I think we've seen this because there was a mystery key on the torch, so Solietu is remembering that at some point he's really going to hope to find that pearl really soon.
God.
Because then we can get boots.
ZelgaDissan's tracker is behind on my screen.
Oh, you're right. Thank you. Yes. We have a pearl. Alright, so Solietu's thinking where he wants to go. In this case, what is going to be opening up his next piece of progression. There are still a couple places I think that he had visited before, you know, as a bunny, and so that is going to be accessible to him at this point. He may be thinking of where he maybe needs to go in logic.
Well, and in what order to do things in.
Right.
So he knows, for instance, Blind's house. He knows the location of both Blind's house and Hype Cave. So I would be interested in going to those places. I would also be interested in going and getting my boots.
Yeah, Zelda's really showing off just how fast you can go with boots, even with a companion.
And the frog will happily follow you around in all over the place in this game until you get a crystal, and then he buggers off. So, even if ZelgaDissan was interested in completing that dungeon, probably not worth it right this moment.
Alright, so yeah, so we definitely have found that boots are hard required for this for silvers. But at least he's gotten silvers relatively early. Early in terms of he hasn't really killed a lot of bosses yet, where silvers would be something much more helpful.
Single wooden arrow. That's how recently he got the first bow.
Wow. Yeah, I'm trying to think back to like when have we actually used it, and yeah, that is true. Are we going to do some co-op here in Ice Palace with Zelda? You think the frog is like Zelda's pilot? So this is going to be like a pilot into Ice Palace, tell him where to go.
I always feel a little bit bad for Frog when the hookshot gets used and the poor little frog is like, "Whoa, wait for me!"
Hopefully the frog doesn't freeze to death, right? At least Zelda has red mail. What does this frog have? I think he just has like overalls or something.
Yeah, he's a freaking blacksmith. I mean, presumably he's got a buff, except that presumably your buffness wears off and you turn into a frog, so...
So Zelda is demonstrating how we're supposed to be doing Ice Palace before the King of Samaria and the Icebreaker days. I am proud of him for being on the right peg, though.
I never got any good at that room, so I was happy when Icebreaker came along. And I got to not feel dumb for being unable to kill both enemies with one bomb.
Yeah, this frog is so skilled that even he knows how to follow Zelda when Zelda does the Ice Palace bomb jump. Still on Fighter Sword, though, we're hoping that we can find at least something in here. Zelda is a big fan of, well, I guess fighting progression. I think as does Solietu is.
I feel like of the 165 runners in this tournament, I'm willing to gamble like at least 160 are fans of finding progression.
Speaking of potential progression, though, we did see a bumper cave on Solietu's side, and Zelda has just found its counterpart, which is the cave.
And of course, they found it in the way that you can't cheat it with a hookshot. Man, Zelda's putting on a clinic with hookshot movement in Ice Palace.
Yeah, I think, given that how slow kind of like the seed kind of went earlier on, is really going to be able to be nice and like stretch his legs for a bit. Solietu, though, on his way back into Hype Cave, so he is actually very, very close in order to get his wins soon.
The anti-fairy in that room just seems like the cherry on top of it being just an inconvenient place to be.
Yeah, I mean, at least Zelda has a sword. Okay. Not sure if we necessarily need that big key yet. We don't know what's in the big chest, but
yeah, that was not
not
a great dive as far as these things go.
Yeah. I mean, so we're still looking for actually quite a few pieces of like important progression, right? We are going to need a King of Samaria, presumably. We are going to need a hammer at some point, and not to mention like a bunch of keys that we still haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
And another sword or two would be super swell.
I mean, at least one I think the logic would insist upon. That's how, by the way, the smith is keeping up in frog form. There's lots and lots of drugs. Doesn't need many more.
Say, we found the mushroom. So I think Solietu had found the potion shop. Unknown if Zelda had also found it as well. But Solietu has found Mini Molder Cream, I think, at the Dark World's Ice Palace location. So it's gonna be pretty nice, assuming something turns up here. The key too. Hera, hey, that looks actually pretty important. Oh, and the hammer. That is super important.
Solietu gets to pause and think for a second. Actually,
yes. Are we potentially going back to GT? He was actually just there, and now a lot of the left side is open to him.
All the way through the left side, including Ice Armos if you want to do it without the bow. Like hair is a crystal, which is a fun spell.
Speaking of GT, Zelda is going to make the climb.
Never mind the basement. We're going straight upstairs.
He has done literally everything he possibly could do in the basement, which is surprising.
No, he hasn't.
all like 2 checks or something.
He looked at the torch, but he didn't actually collect the item. I think the item is useless, but...
Yeah. Oh man, speaking of useless though, that dead rock on Solietu's side really just, I mean, he was just positioned so well in order to block any amount of movement over to the right side. Doesn't even have powder in order to take any type of revenge on the dead rock either. Yes, very important, given that we just found a big key to Hera. That is fresh on his mind, going to immediately climb at this point.
And do this the old-fashioned way, where we just walk up the tower.
Oh, glad that beetle didn't knock him down. Alright, so at least it was nice that Zelda picked up half magic. He is literally just burning everything in his path down. Certainly going to be much more convenient than the fighter sword that we're seeing him try to swing back and forth.
Yeah.
At least he has boots. I mean, and I understand that I, am certainly very partial to boots, but a bootsless fighter sword gauntlet is really not fun in terms of execution.
I mean, both rods, silver arrows, path magic could be worse.
That is true. Could be worse.
And quick swap.
Well, speaking things that could be certainly a lot worse, Zelda put on a really nice show for a 1-cycle Silver's Landless.
I mean, always impressed with people.
Did you see that on Zelda's side? Wow.
Yeah. I was actually just about to say, I'm always impressed with people who can do these gauntlet rooms without the Canis Maria, just because all their muscle memory is with an item that they don't have.
Yeah, so I believe Zelda has said that you can 1-cycle the Wizards here with the bow. It is quite difficult, though.
I'll believe it. Solietu kills Moldorm, gets a red shield, which I'm sure he's excited about, and also a crystal.
So, at least with the hammer in hand, he has a much probably smoother fight. It was certainly very well done, but compared to Fighter's Sword, it takes significantly fewer hits. But yes, as you said, yeah, most importantly, we've got that crystal down.
It's back to pack. It's, I guess, faster than the same, but it's back to pack. But,
Alright, so finally, Kale, the difficult part of the gauntlet, we're finally going to be able to see some items here on Zelda's side. What do we have?
A key to pod.
Oh, yeah, another spot small, so that is certainly useful. Logically, it's required.
Yeah. May actually be required too, because I think in even playing optimally, more than 2 pod keys are necessary to get all the items. So. Nice.
That's right.
Dash straight through Boulder there. The myths are behind what?
There was in the back. Is it 6 or 5? I think the key logic is being slightly different in entrance.
It's certainly not more than 5 because you don't have to open. You can't open Harmless Hellway unless you've already gotten to the room that leads to the basement. But yeah, 4 was the number that seemed right.
So Zelda did pick up a potentially required big key. I think we don't technically know what desert is, but it was the post-validation chest. You're here, you may as well, I guess, take down Agatu.
Yeah, and I think there's an item cave behind Aga.
Yeah, and this also lands him back on the pyramid as well. So he is, so this is going to work out really well for him because he picked up the cape, right? So he's going to be able to actually get in to that middle entrance as well.
Remain Nick, thanks for telling us you're enjoying things. We, of course, are not restreaming anything like all the tournament games, but we're doing our best to bring you at least a few. Given there's 85 of them a week, we don't have that many volunteers. Also, that many Twitch channels. So.
Alright, so remembering that. It looks like it was actually just a tavern. I'm disappointed that we don't get the joke. Please go back. I already am down 1 cat back from Zelda. I also don't want to be down a joke as well.
No, he's not.
Sad.
Not playing nice. Solietu is back to Aga Tower, which he found as a bunny an hour ago.
Yeah, but this is going to be good news for him, because he's going to be able to see this ice rod, and you always want to be able to find these ice rods sooner rather than later.
More ice rods is better than less ice rods.
That's right. Yeah, so I think he's contemplating what his best option probably is at this point. You know, there are, I think, you know, with basically all the rest of the stuff, you know, he did get that hammer, so I think didn't we find Mimicade at some point, sometime?
Yep. So, sorry for the yawn. Lower East Death Mountain.
Yeah, so that is also going to be another item location for him as well to open. Okay, we have hammerlock locations as well, like in Village of Outcasts.
So, Mopery Man, it is traditional to play what used to be called the Crystal's Goal in Crosskeys, which is to say that the hole in the pyramid opens when you defeat Aga 2, but Ganon himself is vulnerable when you have the 7 crystals, which is, I think now they've just called it Fast Ganon, but it doesn't actually work the same way that Fast Ganon works in non-entrance shuffle modes. And so very often the Aga 2 fight locks an item, you know, up to 5 items, and one time in 7 it locks the Ganon fight. Ooh.
That mushroom, super useful. So that, good thing that Zelda decided to turn in the mushroom and then, you know, find the potion shop. That is going to be at least our right side GT access.
Turn in the mushroom that he got from the smith.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like, I think that means that mitts are required this season.
Mm-hmm.
Although speaking of, potentially another crystal down for Zelda, he is chasing that desert key. He has, like, despite that he's on, you know, Fighter's Sword, he's got, you know, as you said, Excalibur, both rods, silvers, half magic, you know, the fight can be worse.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know
we saw
a single enemy in this dungeon with a sword.
Yeah. We saw how
waiting
easy...
in front of you when you're running, but...
Yeah, we saw how fast he took down Moldrum 2, you know, with 3 silver arrows. Certainly Moldrum 1 can't be much harder. Or Lamo 1 can't be much harder, right?
Zelda's a few keys away as well from Go mode, so it might not be the hammer in the end, but... It's worth noting that Solietu, I think he's going into attack right there. But he's likely to pick up the smith on the way past. Certainly knows where the smith house is, so...
Yeah, that was actually one of his earlier entrances as well that he found, because he got over to Ice Rock Cave, certainly on the earlier side of the scene. But, I mean, picking up the smith, you know, as we saw on Zelda's side, is going to be very important for Solietu.
Blind is a relatively free check in this circumstance. Alright, I was very confused for a moment there. That looked like deliberate death warping on the Overworld, which this is not
deliberate death warping on with Red Mail. Okay, I guess we wanted to maybe do a lap or two in the Village of Outcasts, maybe for some extra exercise, you know, since we've got, you know, the companion that we want to show off with. But I guess he remembers that, that's right, we also have hammer pegs, once we picked up that hammer from the Moldrum Cave.
Yeah, I mean...
Aw, poor chicken. Oh.
The death chicken, it deserves it.
All that for yet another shop on Solietu's side. Okay, looks like he is at least done for the time being. Okay, he did flip to 8. For a moment I thought he flew to 1 because I didn't quite see the thing. I was like, okay, I guess we're going to go further exploration on the mountain, but we are in fact going to turn the smith immediately, and he is going to get his Canis Mario very shortly. Oh, no, sorry. He's going to get the mushroom, which he may or may not get his Canis Mario very shortly.
There's at least 2 more steps before the Canis Mario turns up.
Yeah.
Alright, so Zelgadissan, having beaten Canis Tower, is back to actually get the items from out of you from in here.
That's right. Yeah, so we're going to get a sneak peek on Zelda's side, what Solietu is in store for once he turns into this mushroom and claims his prize.
I don't, off the top of my head, know if he's seen the potion shop. It's in one of the drops in East Step Mountain, which is some of the more inconvenient entrances to get to in the game. Less so in this game because they have a saving quick that leads up there, but
with that lucky hammer to his name, Solietu actually goes into the Dark World the traditional non-entrance way. What a milestone for the scene.
yeah, it's disappointing. Ooh.
So, looks like Solietu is going to be willing to brave Ice Palace all by himself as a duck. Not going to have any help that Zelda had initially. Although he is here with the hammer, which means that I think he has enough. At least he can get all the way down to Colster.
Yep, in principle, he can actually finish this thing.
Yeah, I think we did see on Zelda's side that there wasn't at least anything interesting pre-hammer from Ice Palace, so hopefully Solitude's going to find something of value later on.
Zelgadissan not interested in the suave walking around the fire bars method for getting through the right-hand side. Double fire bar room goes for the burn a dash instead.
Poor Zelda. Those Bari, such a bully.
The Bari didn't get him. He just walked, he just flinched. Pretty sure.
So unfortunately, Solietu is also showing us that he also knows how to potentially do Ice Palace Bomb Jump. We know where the Canis Mario is, but he is not going to be able to have it accessible to him before he finishes out Ice Palace.
Nice Ice Armos. I mean, Silver's Ice Armos is not the hardest fight in the world, but, you know, it's still got dopey physics, so.
Yeah, I mean, so like everyone, I would say it's a common conception, yes, that, once you have Silver, it's like, oh, everything is easy. You still have to, actually shoot down the arrows. And Silver's still has different timing, especially with how much it slows down the rest of the game processing, so. It's like Zelda took everything he possibly could from the bottom of Ganon's basement. That's potentially our first map check on Zelda's side. So it looks like he did figure out...
And the first map check is enough, because... and that's when you want to do it, right? Is when it can actually make a difference to what you're up to.
But I think at this point we have all of the rest of the Crystal Pendant Dungeon knowledge.
Yep. Eastern, despite being easily accessible early in the game, not necessary.
And the fact that we did find both bows, of course. Why are we surprised that Eastern is contented? Ooh, okay. So Solietu giving us our first post-hammer Ice Palace item check finds the hammer in the Millipede chest. So now Magic Bats, is that behind Agalon? Anyway, so we can check powder.
Yeah.
Zelda is demonstrating that he has done the back of Skull Woods once or twice in his rando career.
Yeah. Didn't have to do the fancy bomb jumps and so on. That's all you have to do to complete that with the lamp earlier. Does have to do quote-unquote fighter sword Mothula, but again, half magic and fire rot means that barring too many like collisions, probably not a lot of fighter sword.
Oh, clutch last shot for the fire rod on Saga side.
So, notably, you can see which dungeons have been found by whether or not the tracker shows the initials of the dungeon, in which case the runner hasn't found it, or a grayed out version of the boss, in which case they have found it. So you can see that zelgadissan has not yet found Swamp Palace. And there's people that will argue that if you have all the items to open all the entrances, you're in go mode, whether or not you found the things yet or not. But it's still a very much a hide and seek operation. So.
Yeah, I think it seems like Zelda is just in dungeon clearing mode, just taking out these crystals one after another with that ice rod in hand. He's ready to take down Trinex.
Not looking for a lot of stuff, and you can sort of hope that it turns up.
This is kind of interesting on Zelda's side, right? Because he is still a fighter sword. He doesn't have the hammer that Solietu has. He is, I guess, baking on his half magic and potion. I think he picked up a green potion.
Yeah, he actually bought a green potion, drank it in the shop, and then bought a blue potion.
Right. Looks like he is going to opt to not do backdoor strats.
Nope,
very understandable, because he's just going to literally spam the rods and spam Trinex out of existence.
I think.
Alright, one head down.
That's the trick is goo. Dope. If you do that right, you don't need the goo, but. Was not optimally done by zelgadissan. You know, I mean, it was fine. Totally got the job done, but.
This is I think he has enough shots. Oh man, speaking of another sword, Solietu taking down Coolster actually relatively quickly with half magic and fire rod. Most importantly, he picks up a master sword. Super nice. I bet Zelda wish he had some master sword.
Fighter sword Trinex phase 2 seems like it sucks.
Seems, huh? That's a very kind way for you to describe this. Another blue potion? Oh, I thought he only had one. Okay, alright. Okay, this is gonna be a little bit nicer inside. It looks like, though, he didn't actually, in fact, need to drink that second potion. But it's better to not die here, especially when you don't really have a way back in terms of offense.
Yeah. When you're 2 blue potions in, you don't want to die.
Yeah. Progress is progress, though, on Zelda's side, claiming yet another crystal, and looks like at least a small key to Meyer. Probably something that he does not need or care for.
Fingers.
Yeah. Meanwhile, equally just as I would say useful, Solietu picks up another crystal to his name. I think this is also his other 5/6. So Pyramid Fairy is going to be in Logic. He picks up a Master Sword, which I mean, these guys were hurting for swords basically the entire time.
Yeah, the Master Sword is really, I mean, in addition to being logically mandatory, a lot better than the Fisher Price version.
Yeah.
Do we remember where Zaga found the Swamp Palace Small?
That would be a great question for our trackers. Right side GT. Thank you.
Okay, that's somewhere that that's not somewhere that's going to get left behind by Solietu.
Yeah. So Solietu still does need to pick up his Canis Mori at some point, but he is in pod. I guess like he looks like he just wanted to explore the bow side, or the bowlock side.
And here is Zelga's hammer. In a moment.
Oh, what a nice little mini mold arm getting stuck.
And this does put Zelga in the unusual sword for go mode situation.
So yeah, meanwhile though, Solietu is on East Death Mountain, and this one of these areas was the potion shop, right?
The left drop.
Okay.
I came up here this way. Might have forgotten the connector.
Yeah, I mean, you know, with hammer in hand and the hook shot, he's gonna definitely be able to do a lot more stuff here. And
Yeah,
you know, the fact that we have basically access to
good stuff,
a good chunk of the basement.
I mean, there might be a sword or something over here, but nothing that solves problems.
Well, we did find our second Castle Tower small key. Potentially, I mean, at least this certainly looks like from you know, what we know based on what Zelda has. We're not gonna have to go kill Aga 1 today. But yeah, these Stalfos though, not giving Solietu a good time here in Stalfos room.
I think that they're home.
Yeah.
Not,
They
not
are
Link
home
room.
in that one room.
The Stalfos room. Sorry if my commentary is a little bit loopy tonight. Chat, I'm up late.
So.
And while I remember, Happy Canada Day to any Canadians in the crowd. You should be, you know, eating barbecue and watching fireworks, unless it's going to light your local area on fire.
Almost key dash on Zelda's side, so just like a little bit probably more precise. Oh, start your dash type. But meanwhile, like he's on Helvesaur, looks like he is just going to hammer his way in. There is a spin ski setup that he can do, but it doesn't look like he armed it. Oh, never mind. He's got silver arrows. What am I talking about? So we just need one more shot to kill Helvesaur for phase 2, and no need for some fancy hammer hits.
Yep. Good old-fashioned shoot him in the face. And for those in the crowd, I'm, despite my complicated accent, Canadian. So that's why I remembered it was Canada Day. Think Americans remember that stuff? Ha.
Do you remember? Well, I mean, you know, Canada Day is really close to July 4th, which is the day that we all remember. So.
Yes.
Alright, meanwhile though, making his further way into GT, in the Brando room on Solietu's side, still looking for more progression on his side. Alright, second bonk, of course, is going to be the successful bonk that makes his way over here through. You know, warping is surprisingly takes a long time, longer than you might think. Yeah, I was gonna say though, but looks like the Solietu almost avoids the anti-fairy, but you know, unlike Zelda, he is going to have wooden arrows as opposed to silver arrows, so hopefully he is at least a bit more familiar with the probably more conventional ice armos kill.
Doing the bottom right strats, which leaves you in the right spot if get it right. But this is the quick kill, which is fine. It's not.
Yeah, no, I mean that is for not having like a quick kill. I mean, like that is a remarkably smooth fight.
And zelgadissan very much betting that a sword is going to turn up, and we know that it will. So. Does Swamp Palace not having turned up yet is exciting. There's not a ton of entrances left on Zelda's stream. Let me see if I can actually read his map tracker. Both these runners, conveniently for your commentators, are actually streaming their map trackers, so we can look over their shoulder. Unfortunately for my eyesight, Solietu is streaming his tracker about the size of a postage stamp, but...
Well, so Solietu does have all 3 medallions, including the Quake, which is needed at least to open up this particular entrance. So this is going to be pretty nice for him. Maybe this is going to be Swamp Palace. This is something that we haven't seen yet. And both runners had done the dam, I believe, pretty early on. So it's going to be, it's definitely going to be, pretty necessary in that they can actually get in. Unfortunately, though, if Small Key to Swamp is in right side GT, he does not have the Key to Samaria yet, so he can't quite make that much headway. He can get the first chest, but probably nothing after that.
So unmarked entrances on Zelga's tracker are Turtle Rock, Pyramid.
Yeah, Pyramid Fairy entrance is, in fact, in logic. We have both. It's certainly already. Solietu's already got his 5/6 crystals. Zelda is going to claim his 6th crystal, 5/6 crystal shortly.
And I missed Zelda checking the back of Skullwoods, but apparently did it. So.
He actually just did that. It was King's Tomb. He found a small key to Ice Palace. What a treat for us viewers today. We're going to see, oh my gosh, that super smooth icebreaker on Zelda's side. I was going to say, we are going to see Ice Palace cleared, in this case, both ways. Like, both by the Ice Palace bomb jump and by icebreaker.
Oh boy. Solietu, unfortunately, going into Mire. I assume he just dropped down the wrong drop down and didn't get his cane. So, this is unfortunate for him. This is a totally reasonable play in his shoes. We happen to know that it's not gonna work out. So.
Yeah, I guess like the quote-unquote good news is that he at least doesn't have the Mire Big Key, so he can't at least go all the way to the trees. And he is locked out of a couple of chests. Well, he's at least locked out of the Big Key chest, or the big chest. There we go.
So you're right. Mire is also not been checked.
Yeah, I think actually Solietu was the only one who actually had visited the Mire area with Ether, I think, in hand. But he was not there as a. I don't think he was there with the Pearl.
No, he went there twice without the Pearl.
Alright, Zelda is demonstrating that he is going to know how to take down Cold Stairs just as well with that half magic and Fire Rod. Wow, he's splash damage.
Now for the annoying part, having that under magic.
Now we're gonna pull out that hammer. Wow, these. Okay, that was a very successful just trap Cold Stair, pop in the corner and pound him to smithereens. And Zelda, very happy, of course, to see the one sword on his path that he absolutely needs for the seed in order to complete it.
Yeah, and with silvers in hand, the next sword is fine, but not nearly as nice as it would be in a silverless scenario.
Yeah, as everyone would love to have at least tougher sword. It's not necessarily going to be as endurance taxing as Master Sword fight, but yes, silvers in this case, as compared to Master Sword silverless, is going to be really nice.
that was an interesting chain of events from Zelda. Going back and picking up his mirror portal. Entirely sure where he's off to.
Alright, so at least Solietu is like, almost done with Meyer.
At least at least the useless thing he's doing won't last too much longer.
Yeah, he did unfortunately had to go all the way to the Vanilla Key, so he just sit through the cutscene, but yes, he doesn't have to do the basement at least.
I mean, it's the nature of Rando, but it's always unfortunate when we, the audience, know that something just isn't going to work out.
Right. That's right, the bomb shop is in the light world. Oh man, what a trek in order to get it in this case. Unfortunately, Zelda didn't quite was able to start his dash from the damage, but it looks like he got it the second time.
But so Zelda has done the clever thing here, which is, well, I don't know if it's clever, but did a thing that seems clever, which is ditch a mirror portal next to the pyramid, flute over to the bomb shop, and then flute back to Link's house, so we can come at the pyramid from the south with the bomb. I don't know if that actually is a time save, but it felt clever. And, as mentioned, as one of the few remaining entrances that Zelda had not yet checked, Swamp Palace is in the pyramid.
Yeah, and he even gave us the illusion that he potentially also, killed Aga in order to open up that portal, because the mirror portal, I think, was just buried right under that gate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, you just see some really nice, smooth, and fast cookshot movement. Basically, you take some damage and you hook. So long as the bomb hasn't caught up to you, you can just dash. Made some really nice, effective movements there in order to speed up his progression.
The follower rules on the big bomber. So,
we are going to see on Zelda's side just how fast Eagle knows Swamp is. I would not be surprised if he is checking a couple things along the way, because, as he would probably like to really see a Temper Sword along his path. Certainly going to save quite a bit of time on Ganon. But if he doesn't find it, Zelda has probably done a Master Sword Silver's Ganon fight in his day.
yeah. I reckon 300.
Only 300. Okay, we'll ask him, see if he's counted.
I mean, he certainly has been, but...
Oh, okay. So I think this is a potentially new location for us on Solietu's side, because I don't think anyone's actually checked regular ledge, but we're going to find the Uncle 10 Bomb Pack.
Yeah. I can no longer get excited for Solietu checking new locations on account of anywhere that Zelda hasn't been isn't useful.
I mean, Solietu can still find a Temper Sword, right? And that's going to be very useful. And, we haven't really seen anything on Zelda's path so far. Argus still can have something, but it's looking less and less likely that Zelda's going to be able to pick up Temper Sword for his Ganon fight. Demonstrating immediately that it would be really great in order to have a Temper Sword. You see that Zelda is making pretty good use of the Master Sword. Hooking a couple puffs and then doing a spin in order to take them down. But of course, the Tempered, we did have to, slash them twice.
Never mind fancy setups for phase 2.
Oh my gosh!
Found all the swords in this lead.
Wow! Alright, so we have 2 swords on crystal bosses. Dude, what? Zelda is certainly not complaining about the progression of the scene.
And not only crystal bosses, but like hard to get to deep in logic crystal bosses. But logic just needs to find 2 swords before you get to Ganon, and presto changeo. 3 swords before you get to Ganon.
You know, like the fact that they were on Fighter's Sword, right? You know, understandably, right, because of where these swords were. Probably a very nice, refreshing change in order to suddenly, you know, be able to have Temper Sword. Right before that was his last check too, before he ends up falling down again.
Last location. Oh boy, poor Solietu.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zelda just didn't have quite enough time in order to get, looks like 1-1.
For a seed where Zelda didn't find like hardly anything for 45 minutes, the back half of the seed has gone fast.
Oh. Alright, yeah, already on to phase 3. Yeah, let's talk about and we got to see some pretty cool boss fights too, right? I mean, how often do you get to see basically you spam like Fire Rod and Ice Rod in order to take down Trinex?
Yeah, we can't bother with these swords. I did enjoy the phase 2 of Trinex actually being interesting. I always felt a little bit bad about that boss fight.
Did you see? So Zelda got Torch Clash, by the way, like very, very far away using Fire Rod. Like I mean, that actually just takes some pretty good timing, so pretty impressive. But you know, Silver Arrows, Zelda does remember that he has them. That was a lickety fast phase 4, and he is just needs to walk past this bridge. Get your G's out in chat for Zelda claiming first place, sub 2 hours on a Crosskeys seed.
That's a good race.
Oh yeah.
We did it! Yay!
We did it! Yeah, 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 12 seconds. GG, Zelda.
And looks like Solietu has seen Zelda finish in race time, and this seat feels like a forfeit.
Yes, I believe looking at that, it is an officially forfeit. I think Solietu, though, he's made like some solidly like great progress. So.
Yeah, this Canis Mario location has had the chance to wreck, to be really unfortunate, and has turned out to be.
Yeah, I mean, like Solietu actually put up like a really great fight and race so far. Probably just up until like the very end where he kind of made the decision. You know, again, very, very reasonable. It just happened to be not something that worked out this time with Dive Meyer. Hey, hi Zelda, GG's.
Yeah, GG's. Thank you.
Congratulations, sir. We were worried that this was going to take a while, and given that you didn't find hardly anything for the first hour, and then boom, 2 hour seed done.
Well, it helps when my go mode was essentially hammer, because it locks off half the stupid game.
Yeah.
But I mean, this was I felt absolutely awful for the first about hour. Just the chain to the Moon Pearl was terrible. I didn't expect anybody was going to god route that, but everything involved just got almost hard last location for me, to the point that it just felt really bad.
Yeah. So welcome, Solietu. I heard another bingly bong noise, but he's not here. All right, never mind. Your opponent also last location but did way more bunny walking than you did. So actually was behind at the Moon Pearl. But he did find the flute. He bunny walked into Gullwoods and bunny shenanigans, etc. to get the flute early, which helped a bit. But I think you had both Mirror and Moon Pearl substantially before he did.
Okay. Yeah, finding both gloves in pod was a little interesting. One behind 1 key and one behind 4.
Yeah.
So.
Did you notice that you didn't get a pod key for the first, 45 minutes?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because I was sitting there thinking, I've got this pod, and I sequence broke the right side, but I got really nothing. But why don't I have any pod keys? And they ended up being so required that it really surprised me that I didn't have any pod keys for a very long time.
Looks like Solietu is in chat, but won't be joining us for voice interview. So, congratulations. You played a good race, man. So the big stumbling block, the other stumbling block, which you didn't stumble over, fortunately, was the Canis Mario location, behind the Smith chain, behind the mushroom, potion shop never got found by your opponent. Still hasn't found it. Did you get lucky, or was it actually not in that unfortunate a spot?
Is both a valid option? Because
I think so. I feel like that's what I would try to answer here, but you know.
Yeah, I actually passed up the smith on the first time on accident because I was so hyper-focused on trying to get the boots off the island that I kind of oh crap, there's a blacksmith that I could have picked up and he's right in my path over here. But it ended up being not too bad because I got the flute fairly quickly afterwards, and at that point turning in the smith was pretty free. But then, the actual location, it was like the only entrance I still had up on Death Mountain, and I kind of figured, well, I can check some GT stuff, and then I can just see that.
Yeah, given the back of Old Man exit, East Death Mountain was not nearly as bad a place to get to as it could have been. I think both of you got spat out there. You know, you guys were both super hard last location the mirror, and like getting spat out places as a bunny and being like, do I really want a bunny walk around here or anywhere else to go? And congratulations on remembering you can talk to the hype cave guy as a bunny.
I honestly thought when I found him, like, this is finally the answer, and then this was like a heart piece or something. Felt bad.
You're like, this is the seed. This is the seed where this is required. Ah, dang it. And then we were just talking just before the end there. How many Master Sword Silvers fights have you done?
Way too many.
So my guess was 300. That's almost certainly not enough.
I mean, that's probably not too far off, to be honest. But I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why I was just kind of hoping. I opened a few chests in Swamp looking for that last sword. Well, not the last sword, any second sword. And I was not expecting Cold Stare and Argus to both drop swords. That was kind of funny.
That was silly. A sword will turn up. Hey, look at this. The literal last check, tempered sword. Nice. Clear Mouse, you had some things you were like, we should ask zelgadissan about that after the race. Do you remember what they are?
I think at some point. When you, I think after you picked up the pearl, did you make a detour over to Death Mountain before you went to go get boots? I'm trying to remember the sequencing.
I think the pearl was on East Death Mountain, which someone in chat was very vehement about. You could have like set up Bunny water walk or something to get the boots before the pearl, but
I know there's some sort of like swimming, surfing bunny stuff. I have no idea how really any of that stuff works, to be honest.
That's fair. Yeah, so you actually got what felt to me like lucky how quickly you got the pearl after you got the mirror. And sort of the first mirror checks you made were the right ones.
Yeah, if I didn't do a ton of bunny walking, my only real options I felt were either this, go back to the Turtle Rock Bridge and try those mirror spots, or there was also, I could have walked to the pyramid and done that, which was also on my mind. And then the Maiden Cell of Thieves, which was the only other things I could really think of at the time. And I felt, East Death Mountain has all those entrances. It's really fast to get to. That feels like it should be the first priority.
Yep. And you could even get the entrance behind the Mitt Rocks. 156 checks in a Crosskeys. That's a good seed. Things went well.
Yeah, I mean, 60 things still left over. I mean, a large part of it, like I said, was basically when you have a go mode hammer. Like left side GT was never an option. Some things in like Swamp were barely options, just looking for swords. So I'm not too surprised it's fairly low, but it feels like a slow 156.
I mean, you've got. I was trying to look at your tracker just as you were looking for Swamp at the end of the race. where haven't you checked? Which entrances haven't you checked?
My only other entrances are Turtle Rock and Misery Mire. That could have been Swamp, were the only other options besides Pyramid Ferry.
Yeah. So, I mean, you went in all the doors. You just didn't, complete all the dungeons and all that sort of nonsense. All right. I think I'm out of questions. Congratulations. There's 7 more weeks of Swiss, so may you continue to win. And Solietu, you're only 1 loss. You can win out from here, mate.
Yeah, we definitely look forward to seeing more cool things like, basically you had a raw duel with Trinex, because you only had Fighter Sword, taking him on.
I was really hoping the hammer was on Trinex, to be honest, at that point.
I enjoyed Phase 2 of Trinex, and Trinex actually being a problem, given how trivial that fight often is. You and your poor Fighter Sword trying to deal with the big worm made me happy. Like, Trinex finally gets his revenge and is actually scary.
I think that's only maybe the 3rd time I've done a Fighter Sword Trinex in a race, so yeah, I'm certainly not very practiced at it.
No, your spamming was, I think, a little bit too excited. But all right, thank you very much. Good luck next week, and I think our restreamer should be ready to take us out of here.
Yep. All right, so let me see. We got, of course, this is a big tournament. We had a lot of matches going on. If you want to help out with commentating or tracking, join the tournament Discord. The link is in the chat. Give our runners a follow, Zelga and Solietu. On a good show. Thank you to Excalibur and Clearmouse for commentary, and thank you to Samus and Tom13 for tracking. So I'll just put the link to the Crosskeys schedule in the chat. That's all we have coming up. If we get volunteers, we'll try to restream as many of them as possible. We obviously won't be able to do all of them, but we'll try to do as many as we can. So far for stuff that we will have on the schedule tomorrow, couples Wind Waker Randomizer Season 4 tournament matches, games 2 and 3 of a best of 3 between Sir Kilpin and Genofi. The first one will be at 4 p.m. Eastern, and if they need to play game 3, the second that will follow right after. And then at 8:10 p.m. Eastern, the main tournament may be over, but the Challenge Cup is still going. We have a quarterfinal matchup between Maya Neko and Fant. That's a game 3, so winner advances to the semifinals. So that's what we know for sure we have on the schedule tomorrow. And we're going to go raid ZeldaSpeedRuns main. They are doing a Wind Waker Randomizer Challenge Cup match. So see you next time, everyone.
Good night.